0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Formula Ford is the first rung on the ladder to Grand Prix glory, and the simplest and cheapest way to go racing in a real single-seater. A straightforward steel frame carries modern inboard suspension, a basically unmodified Ford Cortina engine, steel wheels and cross-ply racing tyres. Formula Ford was a British invention, but this weekend they've come to Brands Hatch from all over Europe because this is the Formula Ford Festival. There's no question that Formula Ford breeds stars of the future. Many racing careers have started in this paddock. Just 4 years ago, a young unknown arrived from Brazil and was a consistent winner. Now, Ayrton Senna is the hottest property in the Grand Prix circus. The latest Brazilian to follow in the footsteps of Senna and Piquet is Paulo Karkaski. Why does Brazil turn out so many fast men?
I think we have one big driver there, and then the next one tried to beat him, and he has to be good. And the next one tried to beat that another one, and I think that's the way to keep good drivers always.
Another fast foreigner is Belgian Bertrand Gachot. Does he find it daunting meeting the best of the Brits on their home ground?
Not really, because last year I was on the pace here, and I think I have just to drive well, concentrate, and do well in the heats, and then everything is possible.
Over 150 entries have already been whittled down by 8 heats and 4 quarter-finals. Karkaski is on pole for the first semi-final. Gachot, the new Formula Ford RAC champion, is in the middle. And on the outside is the young Englishman Jonathan Bancroft. All the cars are Van Diemen's. In the quest is Johnny Herbert, whose weekend went very wrong with a crash on his first practice lap. That meant starting his heat from the back of the grid with a 10-second penalty. And the leaders were approaching Druids before he could get underway. But he came through to finish 6th and was 4th in his quarter-final, giving him a starting position in the middle of row 3. And it's Jonathan Bancroft who makes the best start. Very, very close indeed. Oh, and that's Gachot. That was Bertrand Gachot. It's a horrifying accident. The race is immediately stopped. But miraculously, Gachot emerges unharmed. The dedicated Brands Hatch marshals are on the spot in seconds. As Bancroft, on the right, moves across to the apex, Gachot and Karkaski interlock, and Gachot is launched. The following Rory O'Coilin has to pass between the 2 crashing cars, and his rear wheel misses Gachot's head by an inch. It's a truly miraculous escape. At the restart, Bancroft is on the front row alone. 2 of the hot favourites are out, and Herbert has fewer cars to pass.
Now, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And a clean start for Jonathan Bancroft from his solus position on the front row. Bancroft from O'Coilin, Seedhouse is 3rd, but already storming through from the 3rd row, Johnny Herbert in the red Quest. Herbert is already up to about 5th place. Bancroft leads the field. The rest of the field pouring through Druids for the first of 15 laps. A somewhat depleted field after the accidents in the first start, but clearly out in front. Jonathan Bancroft from O'Coilin, who is 2nd, 3rd is Seedhouse, and 4th now is indeed Johnny Herbert, the new lap record holder. Herbert is up to 4th. Completing the first of 15 laps, Jonathan Bancroft, but already O'Coilin, the Irishman, is starting to move up. And Seedhouse under real pressure now from Johnny Herbert, who is 4th. So Bancroft into Druids, O'Coilin on his tail. Seedhouse is still there in 3rd place, all of the field pouring through. Oh, and somebody off on the gravel. That's Peter Bell in the Ray. And look how efficiently that Brands Hatch gravel has arrested his progress. He didn't even go into the tyres, but his race is over. And there goes Herbert making a challenge on the outside of Seed House. It's not going to do him any good. At the back of that little quintet, it's still Robertson. Bancroft and O'Coilin still first and second, still Seed House third. Now what can Herbert do about this? Herbert getting a look at the inside as they go along Cooper Straight. And he's through into Surtees. Johnny Herbert makes up a place past Alan Seedhouse. Seedhouse fights back. But Johnny Herbert is through and away. Now, is he going to be able to close on O'Coilin? Now he's shaken off Seedhouse. In third place now, down through Paddock Bend for the fifth time. Still Bancroft the leader, still O'Coilin on his tail, but Herbert now in third place. Seedhouse is fourth. Robertson still in fifth place. Bancroft out in front. And it's certainly O'Coilin who's having to be defending that position now. He's stopped attacking Jonathan Bancroft. He's got the red Quest right on his tail, the car that just a few hours ago set a new all-time lap record for Formula Ford cars around Brands Hatch at an average speed of just under 90 miles an hour. And now Herbert pulls out of the slipstream. He's wide. Oh, and they're wheel to wheel. But O'Coilin isn't going to get ruffled. And still, Herbert is frustrated. So that was one effort that didn't come off. Now Herbert has to gather himself together and think, what can he do next? Through Graham Hill Bend. And Bancroft has definitely pulled out a length or two on O'Coilin. And he's off! O'Coilin does it all wrong, goes across the grass. O'Coilin keeps his foot down, he's run across the grass on the inside of Clearways, and Herbert pushed him into a mistake. It's obviously very slippery at Surtees, two more cars off down there, but that was what Herbert needed. Johnny Herbert now up to second place. There's O'Coilin still there in third. Alan Seedhouse is fourth, and we've still got Steve Robertson in fifth place. So Herbert now in second place, and all the time he's concerned about moving up the starting grid for the final.
Yes, this is really tremendous. I mean, at the moment, this is the story of the Formula Ford Festival. This man, Johnny Herbert, in the Quest car, one of very few cars. It looks like he took a more tangle there, more cars off at Bottom Bend, Graham Hill Bend as it is now. The midfield boys, all desperate to qualify for the final, have had a trip over themselves. Again, there must be oil down. We saw another car spinning there, but here, there, 77 from Nicky D'Amico.
Yes, Nicky D'Amico, who was warned, the Italian driver was warned by the stewards for his blocking tactics during the quarter-final, but the battle at the front still going on, and there's obviously so much oil on the circuit now that one thing that does seem likely is that Johnny Herbert's new lap record will remain, because it's very, very slippery around Brands Hatch indeed, and with the oil now having been dropped, that's spaced out the front runners a little bit. Herbert has now dropped back a little bit from Bancroft.
It's very interesting there in that last shot. We actually saw Herbert go off what was the conventional racing line going into Surtees, and that's where O'Coilin slid wide a couple of laps ago, went onto the grass and let Herbert through. And you can see that Herbert's seen the oil, and he takes a different line for Surtees, and he's closing on Jonathan Bancroft.
And that's the Dutchman Gerald van Uitert, who's also fallen foul of this oil, the Dutch Marlborough Challenge winner. And Herbert closing up now as they come into Druids. He's picking his way through the oil, but Bancroft also seems to have the situation pretty well in hand. Jonathan Bancroft has seen the oil, and they're going now down to Surtees, that very slippery corner. and it's in the second part. The oil is there, and they both go wide, they both go round it, but Herbert is now right on the tail of Jonathan Bancroft, just a length between them as they come through clearways. This is the start of the 13th lap of the 15. Bancroft driving a defensive line, but in any case Herbert isn't close enough this time to make a charge down the inside. Up the hill to Druids once more. O'Coilin has recovered from that spin. He's in a closing third place, but it's a two-car battle for the lead. O'Coilin moving up to join them. The fourth place battle continues with Alan Seedhouse still holding off Steve Robertson. Steve Robertson in fifth place, and the leading trio battle on at clearways.
Yes, sadly Herbert not quite close enough there. This is going on to start the last lap, and he didn't quite get the speed out of clearways he wanted to really be challenging Bancroft at paddock. So although he's thinking of looking for a dive down the inside, it looks like the Van Diemen driver should hold on over this last lap, but it's still a tremendous challenge from Johnny Herbert in the quest against the many Van Diemens being driven by the opposition.
So whatever happens, Johnny Herbert has guaranteed himself a place in the first 4 grid positions for the final. It's very slippery there. You can see the twitch from Jonathan Bancroft as he slides his Van Diemen across the oil. And he isn't giving up. Herbert is still pushing. Herbert's looking at the inside as they go into clearways. But Bancroft reads his mirrors, keeps the door shut. And Bancroft is going to move across and shut this door. Surely he is. They come down to the finish line. It's going to be Bancroft. It's Bancroft from Herbert, from O'Coilin, and Seedhouse takes that 4th place from Steve Robertson.
So 2 of the British favourites are well placed for the final, with O'Coilin flying the Irish flag in 3rd place. A British favourite in the second